Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of OTR. My name is Amanda,
I'm Shawnee.
I'm Kenise.
and in the spirit of Mother's Day approaching this weekend, we would like to take a moment to show appreciation to all of the mothers out there, to our mothers, and to those who play the role of a mother in a child or children's lives. So, round of applause for all moms. Um, so this episode, basically, we're going to be talking to you about our experience being raised by mothers, and not only mothers, West Indian mothers, and the things that we've learned from them, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what is it that we want to, instill in our kids as we raise the next generation. So, ladies, how was it being raised by a West Indian mom?
Good
Exactly.
question. Where do we begin?
The whip.
Oh my gosh, too many of those experiences. I
What's
think I
the
was
correct term of the thing that rolls out
a
the
rolling
routine?
pin.
A
A
Belna.
rolling pin.
Belna.
I will.
A Bel.
Yes.
That's what comes to
Yes.
mind. The pot spoon comes to mind.
That
Yes.
one hurts.
No, I think, but putting jokes aside, I,
Was it
I,
not
I,
abused?
yeah, it built character. Okay, guys, that's what it did. I think tough love is something that we can maybe collectively agree on as a commonality with most West Indian moms is that they show you that tough love.
Mhm.
The delivery of maybe some of the things that they say
Right.
might not be,
Nice.
soft. I was gonna say nice, but
Mhm.
I think it's the meaning behind it. And I think growing up and especially being in my 30s now, I understand my mom a little bit more when she was giving me advice. And of course, being a slightly rebellious teenager and, having all these friends. I don't know if you guys had that experience. Like, have you ever had a friend and your mom was like, oh, that's not a good person, or like they didn't like that particular friend,
All
and
the
you were
time.
like, why?
Right. And they were always right though.
They were
Doesn't that suck?
always right. And it's so crazy thinking back on it. Every single person
Mhm.
that she said that's not a good person, or like, I don't like my blood
Mhm.
doesn't take her or him.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. I don't know. It's like a sixth sense or something.
Yeah. Maybe we're all thinking about how many times we were traumatized by the belt and the whip and the pot spoon and the Belna.
I think.
You haven't lived till you got your head knocked into a wall.
No, well, I never did. Did you? I didn't. My mom didn't really spank that much, but one time she did, like in the shower. She waited until I was in the shower and then
Ooh, that
came in
hurt.
with a belt when you're wet. I
And
must
you
have done
can't go
something really
anywhere.
bad. I just never forgot that. But the sixth sense, now that as a parent though, I feel like I have it. So I think you will have it as well. You just know because I think it's maturity. It's not necessarily they have a
Mm.
sixth sense. I just think they just know that person is not for you. You can just call it. You can see things, because of your maturity. So I have that now that I'm older. I'm like, okay, I got it. So you're gonna get that too when you have your kids.
I hope so. I mean, like looking back on it now, like Shawnee said, like now we're in our, we're in our 30s, we're older, we're more mature, we're seeing how the world is. And we're looking at the younger generation, you feel that sense of protectiveness over them. So I can only imagine a mom and her kid, right? Especially if it's your
Yeah.
only kid, or it doesn't matter if it's your only kid or not, but like they're reacting from their experience in life. And I
Right.
think that took me a long time to understand is that they weren't trying to be mean. Like they may not have come across nice all the time, but their intention was good. And I want to say mothers' intentions are good. I don't think anybody intends to mistreat their kids. And we do know there's anomalies out there, but especially our moms, their intention was good in raising us, but it wasn't always delivered probably in the best way. But it took me a long time to understand is that she's doing the best that she can with the information that she has and how she was raised. And when I
Mhm.
understood more about my grandmother, who is also a strong woman, but she went through a lot of trials and tribulations. You then understand how this travels on. I guess that's how that generational stuff starts, how it makes
Mhm.
its way into our life. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the psychology, and we're definitely, like you said, a wealth of resources that they never had. So I totally agree with you. But I do know people though that hold a lot of things against their mother, because the mother's there's a story supposedly. I don't know if it's true or not. So it actually said that Albert Einstein was actually sent home as a little boy. Have you guys ever heard this story?
Mm-mm.
Was sent home from school and with a note from the school. So he got home and the mom opened up the note. She read the note and she was like, you know what? This note says that you are the most intelligent young man and they don't have what it takes to teach you. And they feel that you're super advanced. So what mom is going to do is I'm going to teach you at home because they don't have the teachers with the expertise to be able to teach such an advanced mind. And he was so happy. But actually, the note said the opposite. The note said that he was slow. I mean, I don't know the exact words, but the note pretty much said that they don't want him to come back to school because he was behind the class. He was slow in class. He couldn't answer. So whether he was kind of borderline on the spectrum, but look, it's Albert Einstein we're talking about here. The words of his mother pivoted his life. And I feel like anybody, whether it's your mother or father, or people in your life, words do have power. It carries strength. And especially your mom. Everybody like wants to hear positive words from their mother. And sometimes if I've heard moms say really not nice things to their children, like you're dumb and you're stupid and you're fat and you're ugly and your nose is big and your head is swelling or whatever, like all of these things. And even though they mean it in a good way, I think with West Indian family members, for my family was always like, I'm lighter, my sister is darker. And people would just outright say it, like, how come Kenise is lighter and her sister is so much darker? But like, who cares? Like, who cares about who's darker or who's lighter? And that really bothered my sister. They called her burnt bread or bun bread,
Aw.
in Guyana. That's what she was called. Like, she was bread that was burnt. And if she grew up though with that. Like, she grew up and she was like, I can't wear certain colors because I'm dark skinned. And I'm like, you can wear whatever color you want, does not matter, skin tone, it doesn't even matter. So I think we have to be careful what we tell our children. And West Indian moms listening right now, maybe we can't change you right now, but I think the more you read and the more you want to make sure that you're holding on to a bond with your children, it's important what we tell them because we're the voice that they're going to hold on to for many, many years until they get older and they're able to make decisions on their own.
That's beautifully said. And one of the things that, you know, God, lost my train of thought. Bloody hell.
It's okay. This is why we're off the record.
That was so profound. She
That
lost her
was,
train of thought.
oh God, I was trying to connect it to something okay, I forgot. Because you're
I feel
talking.
like I lost my train of thought too.
It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Should-
If you West Indian moms were here, they'd be like, what happened to you guys? You guys
They
just
would
like,
call you dotish. What happened
yeah,
to you?
yeah, yeah.
But I think a lot of you, Kenise, when you said that, a lot of people, get upset with their mom because of the things she said or how she maybe have said it. Um, I think what I've learned over the years is just having a level of empathy for moms out there that have had to have made the sacrifice to come to, like, obviously this country, America, and in hopes of building a better life for their future children or their current children. And like I can say from in my mom's experience, like she didn't have a say in whether she wanted to come to America or not. Like that decision was made by her parents for different reasons, but she was a teenager when she came here. She was like 19 with one suitcase and
Yeah.
came to New York in I think it was like November, just it was like cold. And my mom is from Trinidad. It's a tropical island. So imagine being 19. I'm thinking of myself when I was 19. And I'm thinking of myself being displaced in a country that you didn't have a say, right? You didn't say if you were like, you weren't wanting to up and leave. It was just a decision that was made for you. And then obviously growing up back then, they didn't have a voice. Females, just West Indian females
Right.
didn't have a voice. They had to do what was told to them. My grandma
Right.
got married when she was 13. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
it's so much trauma I feel like they have faced, and a lot of it unspoken trauma. And all of this information that I found out, it's because I asked questions. It's not like they're forthcoming so much with this information of, what they've had to go through, the struggles and things like that. And I feel like if you're out there and maybe you feel like you don't understand your mom at times, ask questions if she's willing to answer them. I was able to get a lot of, clarity on my mom. And there's actually this book. I bought it last Mother's Day. It's like a fill in the blank book.
Oh my God, I bought that too.
You bought it? It's like, Mom, tell me your story or something like
Sorry.
that.
Yes.
Yes, I bought it last Mother's Day, and it was nice because I had my family in like the backyard and we were just like cooking, and I was like, okay, this is perfect time. So I brought out the book and it was so amazing. I got to ask like so many different questions, and I'm like they're just like jotting things down, and I found out so much stuff that at 30 something years old I didn't know. I had no idea, and it made me understand her more. And it made me be like, okay, well, that made sense.
I agree
Why
with you.
things were the way they were, or whatever the case is. But I have an amazing mom. I couldn't have asked for a better mom. I feel like West Indian moms are mama bears. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
mama bears, like they will go to bat for their child. They will pick up a cutlass for their
Yes, they
child.
would.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
For sure.
amazing. I think that book you're talking about. So I bought the book and they had the cards and I bought it on TikTok shop.
Oh, did you?
Yes. And it's funny because I didn't think I would actually like enjoy it as much, but I've been like ever so often we'll do that like on a Friday, we'll pull out like a couple of cards, go through it, have a glass of wine. So what I have been doing though, I'll put record on my phone and we'll just have a conversation and then record the conversation so I can remember it. Um, so I think it's important to just understand where they came from, understand you know, how they lived as a teenager, as a child. Because I learned that my mom basically raised her siblings. So
Mhm.
she was a child raising children. So it made so much more sense why she's so stern in raising me. She was very strict. Some I disagree with still, but I understand why. When this issue happened with Adriana Young, it made me think of, wow, this is why my mom never even used to let me go downstairs to the stand in front of the house to get something, because you just never knew who was looking at your kid. Um, so I think taking time to just understand their upbringing does allow you, like Shawnee said, to see their story with empathy and to treat them with empathy now, because they still say things like, oh, you shouldn't wear that, your belly looking like this. That's just natural. You sure you wanna say that, like, that's just how they are. And I don't think it's coming from a place of malice, but when you understand a little bit more about their story, you can at least, maybe not you lose your temper as fast as you normally would. At least I'm
Yes,
speaking.
Amanda, I agree. I agree, but I don't think that's an excuse for them
It's,
to
I agree. Right.
so it's so
I understand. So my level of empathy only goes a certain distance. It
Yes.
only goes a certain distance to understand the person, but I still think that there's ways that you speak to people and there's ways that you don't speak to people. I don't think that's an excuse. West Indian moms, if you are listening, I don't think that, that's like making excuses for yourself right now.
yeah,
Like, oh, well, because the way I was raised is
correct.
why I speak to people the way that
Correct.
I do. Like, no, we're all human beings at the end of the day. We all have, I would hope, the same like brain capacity to understand what's coming out of your mouth is rude or it's not rude.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. I feel like, you know, we can kind of get into like now some of the things that we experienced growing up that wasn't so pleasant, you know,
Right.
and like being told for me, I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. That was my thing. Like no matter where I wanted to go, like unless I was chaperoned, like I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. And though I understand why you we were talking a little bit about that resentment sometimes you carry, you I feel like you have to find a balance with your kid because you do want them to have certain experiences because after a certain point in life, the times change. You don't get that time to be a teenager again. You don't get that time to be you know, a young adult again. So I think being mindful about how you parent as your child ages is important. So what are some of the things that you guys experienced growing up that, you know, wasn't probably the best experience?
I think I had a really good experience growing up. I wouldn't trade it for the world,
I don't think I
honestly.
would go. Yeah, I don't. It wasn't a bad experience,
No.
mom, if you're
Mm.
listening.
No,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying it was a bad experience overall raising, but was there anything that happened at
No, I will say I was very blessed in the fact that I had two parents that were, at least with me, a good balance of protectiveness. I still had my freedom growing up. I was still able to do most of what I wanted. I also wasn't like so unintelligible where, you know, I would make really poor decisions. I kind of
Mhm,
had my head on straight for the most part, but I had really good I have really good parents. When
mhm.
I think back, there was this time where I made a mistake. I was like in maybe middle school or beginning of high school, and I damaged someone's property by accident, like their car, totally by accident. And I was freaking out. My best friend was with me. And I remember being so scared to tell my parents, and then eventually the situation got bigger than what it was, and the people were like, "Oh, like, that girl needs to pay you for, like, the repairs or whatever," and I'm, like, in middle school, so, like, I'm, like, crying, and then eventually I fessed up, and I told my parents, and they're like, "Why didn't you just tell us?" So my parents, they actually went over to the people's house, like, and they, like, gave the money for it, and, like, they chopped it up with the people, and it was all good, and I was like, "Oh, that's all that happened? Like, I didn't get in trouble
Mhm.
or anything?" So, like, that's, like, you know, the level of parenting that I had. I had a really good
Mhm.
experience with my parents. Now, if
Yeah.
I were to think about maybe extended family members, then yeah, like,
Mhm.
we get into some, like, murky waters over there, but overall, like, I couldn't have been more grateful, especially to my mom for my
Yeah.
upbringing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm happy for the discipline and I'm happy for the love. Like I couldn't ask for anything better.
Mhm.
I'm very grateful.
And
But
even
there's a
at this
lot of,
age
yeah,
even at
sorry.
this age, Kenise, can't you agree? Like, they're
Yeah.
still looking out for you?
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, for sure. I wish sometimes they didn't, but then sometimes I'm like, no, I want them to." Parenting will always be parenting. Like parents will always be your parents. So I feel, but one thing I've learned though, like they didn't do it perfectly. My parents, my mom, they weren't perfect parents, but I think it's important for the next generation, those of you guys who are listening to us now that are not moms as yet, or maybe you're a young mom, you want to take whatever you saw or happened to you and then not do that. Like if you felt like it was not the right way and there is a better way,
Yeah.
you have an opportunity to make that change now in your life for your children, for your children down the road. So you don't have to repeat it. You know, there's a lot of things that I don't personally repeat. There's a lot of things that I do, repeat, but the things that I feel like I needed to change and pivot, I've done as a parent.
Okay, so let's talk about now some of the things that we shouldn't do as parents based on your experience, what you've seen for other mothers, not only your own experience, but just what you've learned in life. What are some things that you would not do as a parent or advise others not to do?
I wouldn't body shame my
Disclaimer though, sorry, disclaimer, you can parent if you're listening, parent however you want to parent,
Yeah, it's your
Yeah,
right?
kid.
For the people that are gonna maybe take
yeah.
offense to our feedback. But Kenise, go ahead. What was
Sorry,
your
I was just gonna say I won't body shame my daughter. I think body shaming is huge now, and a lot of
Mhm.
kids have committed suicide over, people making fun of their hairy arms and legs and their nose. And my daughter was very like in elementary school, like she was hair, very hairy, and she's hairy on her legs, and
Oh,
boys were like making fun of her on the playground, and she came home and was just like, my mom would have been like, oh, well, whatever, but I listened to her. She was like, Mom, they're like, I need to shave, but you're like 6. What are you talking about? You need to shave. Because she's light, and then she has this dark hair, so it looks like a lot.
oh, poor baby.
Now she shaves, she's really happy, but I would not body shame. That's something I feel like I've learned not to do. Don't body shame your children.
I think that's a really good one because, like we were talking about earlier, in a West Indian family and just the culture, the first thing people comment on when they see you, if they haven't seen you in a long time, is like how big or small you got, or
Right. You lost weight, you gained weight. Like,
and
who
if you lost
cares?
weight, it's like, oh, things must be bad. If you gain weight, God knows what they're thinking. It's like, why you look so big? If you
Yeah.
got dark,
You
it
look
like
so fluffy.
you look, oh, like
they
my
don't use the word fluffy. I wish they would.
I know fluffy is nice. That
I
that's a good one.
I
Gotcha.
had a friend in high school. She's of Guyanese descent, and her mom, you, this lady was so crazy. Like, she would put so much pressure on this friend s- that she, like, for like her to do well in school. And like, if you come home with a grade less than like a 90, like you'd be
Mm,
grounded and like crazy crap like that. And I was
mm,
like, oh my God. So sometimes, like, when we were hanging out, she would be like, oh, I have to study or whatever. And I remember watching her, and I think this, like, the anxiety just like manifested as she got older. I mean, I'm not friends with her currently. I hope she's doing well, but I remember her being like really anxious and really like neurotic about like school and things like that. And even like the smallest things would like set her off. Like, if she forgot to bring something to school or whatever, it'd just be like this whole thing. And I'm like, oh my God, like, and then I met her mom and I was like, oh,
This
okay.
makes
yeah.
sense.
So I think putting pressure on unnecessary pressure on children, or maybe even projecting,
Hmm.
maybe your own personal desires or maybe lack of accomplishments onto your kids, I think is unfair, or holding them to
Mm,
something. Because what if they don't want to grow up to be whatever you envision them to be, or whatever the
right.
case is? I think you just have to accept your children for who they are. And
Right. Right. I agree.
That's
I
a very
agree.
important point.
I agree. And I think maybe that's part of the reason why our mothers maybe came down hard on us, because they didn't want us to repeat,
Mm,
what they didn't get to attain. But each person has to pave their course in life, and we're there to guide them, our children, but I think they've gone the extra, like parents like that have gone the extra mile. Like, one thing I did not like about my mother was when I was in Guyana, I was little, and multiplication tables, like she would grill me at the table for multiplication table, to the point for my multiplication, like I had to memorize all of them, like 1 to 15. And I would be like so stressed about it that I, like, right now, if you ask me for the 11 time table, which is probably a really easy table, I wouldn't be able to say it, because I just blocked it out of my mind, because she pressured me like with a ruler. So the ruler was in one hand, and then she was yelling at me with the other. And every time like I missed it, she would hit my knuckle, with the ruler. That's child abuse. I want to put that out there, please. Y'all should have saved me.
debatable.
but it's things like that where they don't realize that it does have somewhat of a negative impact on
Yeah.
the kid. Because I was very fortunate. I had parents who provided everything a kid could need from the day I was born until now. Like my parents were very responsible. They made sure, you know, I had everything in moderation when it comes to like growing up, they paid for my schooling for me to come to New York and study for my undergrad, for my master's. Like I am very fortunate. And my mom has, like, my dad has always been the one who's like, he's out there working, and my mom took care of everything else. So he didn't have to like worry. Like kid was taken care of. Like the house is spick and span, like dinner is cooked. So she's done a lot. So now in her retirement, I I tell her, I'm like, so how's it going? She's like, I'm actually really enjoying just being me. We lost my dad a few years ago, so now it's just me and her. And like she's like, I'm enjoying just being me. Like I've done so much over the years, because I'm always asking her, I'm like, are you bored? Do you want to go like to one of those places where you can meet other people like you and you guys can talk and
You
stuff?
want to go to the old people home?
Well, that's basically, she's like, what are you trying to send me? But like she's like, no, I'm content. She likes to learn. She's like, so I'm happy that she's content and happy. But as much as they've done as like really great job, I'm very grateful. I love my mother. Would never replace her, because the one thing I'll tell you I realized as an adult today, and I think it's because I lost, my dad. It's just me and her. Like we're riding through this life together now. And what I realized as an only child, that's the only person that for sure that will ride or die for you. Your mom will be the person, because I now think back of like, like when people would try to bully me when I was younger, like she was there and she would tell the mother, your kid's a bully. Your kid sucks. Like, and I now think back on these things of where she would stand up for me. And I was like, as an adult, it recently dawned on me, like, wow, that's my ride or die right there. Like that woman will do what she has to do for me. And I think because I understand all this now, I understand why they've done some of the things that they've, in raising me. So one of the things I would say I probably wouldn't do is just be, I would like, to the point of putting so much pressure, like just
Mhm,
making
mhm.
sure that my kid knows that, you're doing okay. You're doing fine. I'm proud of
Yeah,
you. Because I don't
yeah,
think we say that enough in West Indian
right.
culture. It's
No,
always like, do this, get this, attain this, keep going. But like, do we ever really stop and say, like, hey, let's celebrate where we're at? Let's not keep looking to go to the next thing. Let's stop and let's celebrate. So that's one of the things I guess I want to do moving forward. So
yeah,
like not just keep pushing your child, taking a moment to appreciate where they're at and how far they've come.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. Overall.
overall. Okay.
Shawnee, what about you? You said you wouldn't change
Didn't I
anything.
go? Oh.
Yeah.
I will say though, my mom tells me often that she's proud of me. She's proud of me and my sister.
Hmm.
Oh,
Um, I don't know if your moms do this, but she'll tell other people too. Like she can't wait
yeah.
to like hop on the phone with
Yeah.
like my aunts and be like, "Oh, do you know what Shawnee did? And you know what,
Yeah.
my sister, and like, oh, this is what they did and whatever." And it's like I'm listening from the other room. I'm like, okay. To
Yes,
me it
they
wasn't a big deal, but like she couldn't wait
Yeah.
to like, talk about her daughters
Yeah.
to people. And I think that's like the cutest thing ever. And I think it was actually this week she was like, I'm really proud of my girls. Like,
oh,
for all that we've done and all that we've accomplished. And I will say that me and my sister are fairly, I would categorize us as like independent women. And we learned that from my mom at a very young age, that you have to not rely on a guy, right? To get your life going. And you do what you got to do always for yourself. And we got that trait from her. And yeah, I think that's absolutely amazing. Would I change anything? Sometimes she comes with no filter.
I think all moms are like that
yeah.
Yeah, but
in
she's
their
like
own way.
extra no filter. Like my mom is the person that I cannot put on speakerphone.
Mm.
Like, you have that one friend that you don't know what's gonna come out their mouth.
Yeah.
That is my mom. So I would say, you
Yeah.
know, just have a little bit more filter. But what I do, I also, again, I think is nice to see in maybe the younger generation of West Indian people that are becoming parents now, is that they're being more verbally and physically affectionate with their kids. That's not something that was I don't know if that's just my family, but we weren't like physically affectionate. Just like special occasions, you would give each other hugs and you would tell each other that you loved each other, but like it wasn't anything that we did like every day
Mhm.
and things like that. Like, I don't know. Is that a thing? Or is it just my family? We just were like not physically or verbally affectionate with each other. But I think it's important to tell your children that you love them,
For sure.
often and, hugs and kisses and all of that.
Yeah. They do it
A
all the
West
time.
Indian thing. I think it's like you weren't really like raised to be as affectionate, but like you knew, like it's almost like your parents are like they love you. That's where they're supposed to, your siblings, like you're there for each other. But I think it's more of an Americanized, westernized thing for to hug and
Yeah.
to hold hands and cuddle kids and stuff like that. Like I didn't really like, yeah, sometimes you'll get a hug, but I get that. When I got older, I felt like I was like more cognizant of it because I moved away for a few years and I was like, oh, people are more affectionate where I went. So my dad would give me a kiss, like, when I'm going to school and stuff like that. That became normal, but it wasn't the norm like growing up. And you see that in the family. Like we don't necessarily do that very often. And even now when I talk to people in my family, some of them come across very stern and I realize I'm like, wow, this is really cultural. It's so cultural. Like, you come across a little stern because of our upbringing, but you're very soft if you get to know them. I don't know.
Mhm.
I find that's
Yeah. Yeah. Just, I don't know. I would get hugs and I love yous on my birthday
birthday.
or right before I was going to take a flight somewhere.
Yeah.
But nothing really, or like school, yes. And I recently was having a conversation with my sister and I realized, I don't know, she said something and it triggered like a memory that I forgot was even there where my dad, he would drop me to school as a kid, like every day. He would take me to the diner. Like I was a spoiled second child, the last child.
Clearly.
I would go to the diner every day before preschool. I would roll in with my belly full, like
Preschool. She goes to the diner. Preschool.
I remember it was preschool. I remember the preschool too. I remember like little bits and pieces, but I remember eating breakfast with my dad and he'll drop me off and he would say, "Oh, okay, give daddy ba," which but like give him
Kiss.
like a kiss. Like you
Yeah.
call it a ba. I don't know where we got, but my sister mentioned it and I was like, "Oh my God, we used to call it ba."
Aw.
Which I guess
Yeah,
is like
that,
maybe
yeah.
bye or whatever, but that was like my signal to give him a kiss and then go
Aw.
about my day. And I was like, "Oh my God." I forgot we did that. But that's to tell you, like, as we got older, we just
Right.
like, you know, West Indian moms and dads are just like not that affectionate. But I think it's nice when I see it now.
Mhm.
I see it with my brother-in-law and my sister, like their family, like he'll come home from
Hmm.
work, he'll give my sister a kiss, he'll give, their child a kiss, and it's nice to see. So if
Mhm.
there's anything that I could encourage more of, it would be that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think their affection was like, listen, you have a house to live in, you have food on the table, you have clothes on your back. That says I love you. That's all the hugs in the world.
What's a
I
hug?
have this bad habit of like, and I just like to pull my mom's leg at times. I just to get a reaction of her, it brings joy to me just to harass her a little bit. So like if she mispronounces, not mispronounce, but she pronounces a word like differently, like in a West Indian way, like I'll just call it out.
So mean.
Like vegetable, for example. Or
Uh-huh.
it's not vegetable, it's vegetable. Like they pronounce like every syllable. So then I'll
Um,
say that. I was like, "Oh, the vegetables?" And then she was like, "Don't mind I'm calling it what it is. I still mind you, right?" Which basically means like I was still able to look after you. I still
yes.
He's like, "So you can say what you want, but I still mind you."
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Well, I think overall, I think it's a great experience and we're good people. So that means they did a great job.
I agree. I agree. They did a great job. But why don't you tell us a little bit more about your book, Kenise, that you're releasing this weekend?
Oh my gosh. Yes, my book. I've been working on it, Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Oh.
I didn't think I was going to release anything, but it's called Raising Her in Grace. And grace means, for me, it just means grace, raising her with a delightful personality, a delightful attitude, poised, kind of like put together, a nice little lady.
Oh,
When you see little girls and, sometimes you see little girls and they're like really bad. Just like, okay, no, like sit down and be a pretty little lady. So Raising Her in Grace is the name of the title. And I talk about 10 lessons for single moms. So I'm not a single mom by choice, but I am a single parent now for the last, now 13 years. So of her 15 years. And so I gave my personal lessons that I have learned on how to raise and how to instill things into them from, like, I would say it's from ages, like if you have children, girls ages like 5 and up, because it never stops. I want to continue doing this with my daughter. So that's what it's about. So I'm excited for it because I have a very soft spot for single moms because I am one. I know it is very challenging, but I have a soft spot for moms. I mean, our job is never ever finished at all. So I feel like we do everything as moms. So that's what it's about. I'm excited. And my daughter designed the cover of the book, so she did have a part in it, and the little girl on the cover looks like my daughter. I wanted it to look kind of like her a little bit.
oh,
So yeah.
that's amazing. So people can find this on Amazon, right?
Yes, it's going to be released on Amazon. It's in paperback, so it's going to be on Amazon. So if you search my name, I'm sure you're going to find it. It's going to be on Kindle and paperback.
And Kenise, this is her 6th book. So guys, check out her previous books as well.
Yeah.
Any last minute, tidbits we want to share on this very amazing weekend that we're about to celebrate? Where to go? How about that?
Yeah, I just
Where to
want to
go?
say, your mother's love, you'll just never forget. I think the
If you
wrong
know,
things
you know.
do, the wrong things you do, you're bound to just regret it. So I'll just leave you with those wise words. Love your moms.
If you guys know, you know. Anything from you, Kenise?
I think, sometimes I'm cognizant that a lot of people don't have their birth moms around, but you don't have to be like a mother who's had children to be a mother. You could be a mentor, and that younger people could see you, or even older people could see you as like a motherly figure in their life. So I would say try to be, if you're female, an aunt, a godmother, and say you don't have kids, you can still have propensity is as a good mother. So try to be good to other humans, try to be good to other people. And of course, enjoy Mother's Day. If you are a mother, I want every one of my favorite food on Sunday. I'm not going out to eat. I'm like, I told my daughter, we're just going to order all my favorite foods, and then I'm going to cook on Friday some of my personal, and that's what my personal favorite foods. And I'm just going to lay the table, and I'm just going to sit by myself. And I'm like, I just want to eat and sleep.
Wonderful. I hear that a lot from moms. Like, all I want for Mother's Day is to be left alone.
Yeah.
All righty. So guys, whatever you're doing for your moms this weekend, or for someone who's played a role of a mom in your life, celebrate it, enjoy a good meal, call them if you're not nearby. Just make sure you're taking some time to celebrate these women that have raised you in different parts of your life. Show that love, show gratitude. We're so thankful for our moms, and we're all fortunate to still have our moms. So happy Mother's Day, Mom. So yeah, that's it for this week's podcast. I don't know what else to say, guys. Bye.
Bye. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.